What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be making a full review for the Romancing Festival Mirsa banner. Yes, the second part of the celebration that brings Mirsa a damage dealer, but tank that can heal the party with RNG, but also guarantee if you have his UDX style. Then we have Minstrel, a wheel buffer and BP battery with some good utilities by giving offensive defensive buffs. Then Aldora, a damage dealer for hit and slash that just likes to self-heal, but has limited damage output. Well, let's click here on some details and let's discuss the first thing. If you are pulling on this banner using paid gens, you have a higher chance of getting the character, so think about this. If you have paid gens, summon with those. Now, moving forward, these styles, let's start with Mirsa because he is the main character from the banner, and we have here some very interesting styles distribution. 115% STR, well, not the greatest we have, but good enough, and 101% endurance, 105% will. I don't know if you remember, but the UDX Mirsa back in release had only 50 something endurance and around the same will, and he was kind of frail a little, but he had a chance to counter and just heal back. But in the end, he was not really defensive as we wanted him to be. He was just capable of healing the party, but came with the problem of not being extremely resistant. So that was a way to balance the game. Now this Mirsa has it all. He can take lots of damage while still being a tank and a character that can heal the party. He also has good agility with 93%. And Love and Charisma take a hit here, not very big values, because he also wanted a little intelligence. I don't know why, because you never want to inherit spells with this guy. Let's move to the passives. The first one is called the Silver Hero. Attack increases by 30% at all times, then he nullifies all types of shadow damage. That means that if attack has slash in shadow, the attack will be fully negated. And when he attacks with any spell or skill, be it single target, be it AoE, he has a 37% chance to activate this skill called Silver Light Dance. This is a full AoE attack with C power. It will be used on rank 1. Damage is not important here, guys, but it will recover all surviving alliance HP by around 1.1 thousand in current game, when fully maxed, promoted, and in all. So that's already good. 37% chance to use this attack as a chase means that on average you get this once every 3 turns, right? Okay, let's move on, we'll go back to this later. The second passive is called Hero Switch. Much like Action Switch, we have 2 different ways to get effects. When using slash attacks, you get an attack boost that increases damage by 20%, lasts for 3 turns, it stacks with itself. He will also recover 2 BP. Then when attacking with Sun attacks, he grants himself a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%, lasts for 3 turns and stacks, and he will also self-recover HP by around 200. So, very interesting, these type of things are made for boss fights, and he has access to Slash and Sun attacks with both inheritance and his native skills. That means that he will always trigger all 4 effects. That is pretty cool, because even when he chases with Starlight Dance, he will also trigger all 4 effects. We will need to discuss the delay part of his inheritance skill that will decrease a little his defense capabilities, because if you are using delay, that means that you will trigger the defense boost after the enemy has attacked. But it's still very nice, and you have the average of at least 3 triggers active after the passage of 3 turns. Moving on, we have Intrinsic Sword number 4. When attacking with swords, attack damage increases by 20%, and when attacked by an attack that will cause resist, decreases damage taken by 40%, and you also have a 37% chance to evade said attack. Okay, so we have 50% damage increase at all times before considering the attack boost, and we will have the average of 3 stacks of it, so 110% after 3 turns. And then he will reduce damage taken by 40% if he can resist. You just have to see that he does not need to resist Shadow. You have a easier way to equip him because you only need to care about Blunt, heat, sun, lightning, and cold, it's very easy to get at least 35 with Pierce. So it's not that hard to equip Mirsa like some other characters may be. So besides this, the defense boost part, if you have 3 stacks of it, you will also decrease damage taken by around 40%. Imagine, this is not additive, it's multiplicative, but allows Mirsa to survive pretty well. So, let's move to skills because we need to discuss more stuff. We can check his skill animations by clicking on trial. The first skill is called Valiant Slash. It has E power, so it's close to a normal attack, but it has both Slash and Sun. That allows him to always trigger his hero switch. And it's free, so very nice. It also recovers his HP by around 200. The second skill is called Heroic Stance. This is a 6 BP skill that will give him 30% damage increase for the whole fight, and also apply 3 BP recovery by the end of a turn. So it's actually pretty interesting. Imagine you start the fight and you want to use Heroic Stance. So you will use it, and by the end of the turn you will recover 6. 3 from the passive, 3 from the end of a turn. So turn 2 you already have 10 BP again, and you can use it Heroic Stance again if you want, so that you get 60% damage increase from heat up. Like I said, on average you have 110% when considering the attack boost. He will reach then 170% damage increase on average. And you get 3 BP extra when you think about this, because it lasts for 3 turns. You are not losing anything by using Heroic Stance on the start of a fight, but it will depend if you don't need to heal on start, because some people may bring Mirsa to heal on turn 1 or turn 2 because you actually need. So, the third skill is called Silver Light Fangs. This is a single target attack which requires power, slash, and sun damage, and you just saw the chase attack. That's very nice because, look, it does not have delay. This is interesting. Remember that he does have very good agility. The attack should be close to what you get with Steel Blade Light, that we'll be discussing later. So, if you need to heal and cannot wait till the end of a turn, you can use this attack because it carries a native extra chance to chase with Silver Light Dance, and this time it's a 50% chance to chase. So, let's discuss this. When you use Silver Light Fangs, you actually have a chance to chase 2 times with Silver Light Dance. One at 50%, the other one on 37. So, when you consider both chances, you actually have very good chance of getting at least 1 heal, but it's not a guarantee. If you plan on using your Mirsa without Steel Blade Light, he can actually work, but I believe you may need a secondary healer and use Mirsa as a damage dealer, an eventual healer, but not your main one, since stuff can happen. Or have a secondary healer like Maria that can heal with a fast skill that will allow you to just, well, fix the problem of not being capable of healing in a particular turn. So, it's a very nice gimmick. Having 2 chases will also increase the damage of the character. Okay, now we need to discuss his second skill rotation. This will come from his UDX style, call it Legendary Form. Because there, you have Steel Blade Light, a triple S attack, that is also Slash and Sun, so you get all the effects. And it will heal all surviving allies by around 1,000 and cast Taunt. That will make Mirsa more likely to be attacked. This also stacks, lasts for 4 turns, and like I said, this Mirsa was not that resistant. We can even check the style level. It was 60% endurance, so it was not very high, only 55% will. So when he was taunting, he was getting in danger. Now he does not anymore. So using Steel Blade Light is actually something that you may want to use in a formation where Mirsa already draws more enemy attacks. That's much like what you get with Chef Polka. Well, Chef Polka is more resistant than Rag Robin. Rag Robin can use Steel Blade Phoenix, but he himself can actually take some damage if he gets hit too many times. But Chef Polka is different because he can counter and self-heal and has 2 different layers of damage reduction. Mirsa also has. So I think that Mirsa competes more with Rag Robin as a damage dealer and competes more with Chef Polka as a real tank. So he has best of both worlds and is actually the best healer in the game because when he uses Steel Blade Light, well, he still has an additional chance to heal. He can heal 2 times. So on average, he will just heal much more than Polka. And he has a perfect 2-turn rotation. Polka needs 9 BP to use Steel Blade Phoenix, and Chef Polka generates 4 BP per turn. Generates more if he counters, but some fights he will not be able to counter. So Mirsa guarantees that you will always heal at least once every 2 turns. But on average of 3 turns, you heal 3 times. That's right. So it's actually a very interesting setup. And remember that Mirsa actually gets BP even when he chases. So he will just have some surplus of BP to use his Steel Blade Light when he wants. You can even use it on overdrive if the time requires that. And just play around with Silverlight things if you don't really need to heal on that particular turn, because by getting more chases, you get more damage. Just to compare those 2 characters, because, well, they are the most similar. But, to be honest, there is also Muse that has a similar skill. Muse has Scrum Guard, that's amazing in a character that can heal. She has Floyd for it, and this skill here has 8 power AoE damage, that's not important, but she heals around 1.4 thousand. Yes, because she has insane love and charisma. And you can use her as a main healer, but she has 4 BP generation all turns. Sometimes she gets an extra BP, and the skill uses 10. That means that she doesn't have a perfect 2-turn cycle for healings. She may heal more, but will need an extra help of BP batteries in order to be your main healer at most occasions. But most people will just be using Muse with her Noble Prayer skill that buffs 4 different status that actually matter a lot in the current Saruin meta and in some others as well, since you can use intelligence-based characters together with STR-based characters and still get wheel buffs. So those 3 characters are the best healers right now with different setups. There is also a secondary healer in the case can be Maria, because she can also heal but only 2 times. But well, there's yet another rotation with Mirsa, and this one is from his I don't drink style. The skill called Left Fork. It's very, very strong. Probably the strongest skill in the game when you consider all factors, because it hits 5 times with E power. That's much like a normal attack, right? No, because this will buff STR and intelligence by 25% on max level with each hit. That allows Mirsa to stack so many buffs and deal so many damage if you can give him lots of BP. So, you cannot use this on turn 1. What you'll be doing with your Mirsa is to use Heroic Stance on turn 1. And then on turn 2, you can already start using Left Fork if you want. You don't even need to use it just off Heroic Stance if you don't want to. But then Mirsa will need help of BP batteries, like I said. The best pair for Mirsa now is Socho, because Socho actually has a skill that gives 10 BP to the party. Let me handle it. But in this case, if you want to use your Mirsa as a main damage dealer with Left Fork, you don't want to use Steel Blade Light. You cannot even use it because you can't inherit the 2 skills. So Socho has Taunt instead, so he will draw the enemy attacks instead of Mirsa drawing, and you get BP by being hit and give BP to Mirsa and the other companions, and allow Mirsa to keep using Left Fork more and more often. I used it, Socho and Mirsa, in my last live stream, and I managed to get 1.2 million damage with Mirsa after stacking, I don't know, 2 or 3 Left Forks. That's insane amounts of damage, and allow him to rival Leon in that position of being a strong nuker. And he's also very sustainable, does not use LP, but he will need a BP battery in order to have lots and lots of BP to keep using left fork. And, well, that is something pretty nice, but just like Saruin, he does not really need inheritance, he just becomes better by it. Those two inheritances are the best. Left fork for an offensive build, and Silblade Light for a tank healer build. So, in the end, Mirsa is an extremely powerful character that can fill 3 different roles in the party. And he can even beat Chef Polka in the healer role, and a very strong damage dealer to rival Leon in the right setups. So Mirsa, even without inheritance, deserves an OP grade in our tier list, and if you have at least one of those two I mentioned, you are pretty set. You know something good? In any banner, you can just go and pity the version of Mirsa that gives left fork. For example, I'm going to Sumo Metal Exchange, and I'll click here Other Styles, and Mirsa is included. And you can get left fork if you are pulling on a banner and you are getting close to the pity point. You can just pity this Mirsa and make him even better. But it's not really a requirement, but just allows him to do something else. Mirsa does not have any future styles so far on JP, but his utility will be very long in this game. I don't know how they will power creep Mirsa so fast. And, well, he negates Shadow, so even though he competes with Polka, they can still be used in some different content, but usually he will be the go-to character for heal situations. The next character is Minstrel, and Minstrel has some interesting design. 4 different status with 105%. That's, well, unique. STR, Endurance, Agility, and Will. Those are the status that he likes because he is a buffer, he can do damage but it's not his main gameplay, and he needs to tank a little because he lacks sustain. Then we have 51% love because he can also heal the party. Moving for passive, the first one is called Hostile Cure 2. On the start of battle, you get 2 BP. And when you attack on overdrive, recovers all surviving allies HP by around 1.3 thousand, I guess, with current status. So, much like Mask, much like Time, and Summer Professor. This is an interesting gimmick. It's usually not enough to be your main healer, but can be used as a secondary one, especially if your main healer does not have BP in a particular turn. Then the second passive is called Mysterious Bound 1. Recovers all surviving allies BP by 1 on the start of a round, so you cannot take benefit of this on the start of the fight. But on the next wave or next turn, you can use it. And then it will buff all surviving allies status by 15%. Well, this is not made for boss fights, it's made for farming. Someone that has this is Enya, with the same name even, but Enya has an additional passive that gives 1 BP to everyone, including herself, before the fight even starts. So some characters then has like 10 BP on start but have a skill with 11, could just start on turn 1 using that skill. This doesn't happen with Minstrel, but by buffing everyone and giving extra BP, you can still make some usage for farming. Both Enya and Minstrel can be used together, and they just allow some old characters to still be useful when farming. But it's a strange passive to have in both occasions because this character was mainly designed for boss fights. 15% buff to this status can help versus a boss, but it's nothing really game-changing. Then the third one is called Offensive and Defensive Inspiration 2. This passive, it's actually kind of recent on JP. Got released with Sheree, the next protagonist, and, well, fixing something I said on my preview. This increases attack and defense by 15%. It has some strange names. Remember Joe? Joe increased attack boost by 5%, and it was called Small. Medium is 10 and large is 15, but only when you have this type of passives. So 15% for both, and also recovers 2 BP by the end of a turn. So this minus 15%, it's his only damage reduction passive, but this is for everyone at the party. Scrum Guard decreases damage taken by 20%, but requires everyone to stay alive. So it's kind of balanced, so 5% less, but will work all the time as long as Minstrel is alive to cast it. And that extra 15% attack may help. It's not really that impactful because remember, because your cards already have damage passives, already have strong weapons, this will usually have half the value considering the final damage. But it's a good passive that still gives him 2 BP by the end of a turn. I think the problem here is the second passive. I should have had something that gave Minstrel more defensive layers, because that 15% may not be enough. I know that he does have high endurance and will, but when you are casting buffs in your party, you will kind of have similar status with all of your characters, huh? But what actually makes difference, it's how many layers of defense a character may have. Remember that Witch's Daughter have 2 layers of defense, Chef Polka has it, many other meta units have, so he was lacking something here. Now moving for skills, we have here Oratorio. This is a 5 VP skill that buffs will by 15% or 25% on max level. You have to manually level this up and gives 1 VP to the party, including himself. So even if he is using 5, he recovers 1. That means that in the end he still is left with 1 BP that he can just keep stacking to use something else later. Oratorio is nice because it can be used as your main will buff. Not many cards can keep buffing will every turn, but some can, like Melissa, Muse, and Matriarch. Now you can use it with Minstrel as well. And if you need BP in your party, he will help, especially with Muse if you wanted your Muse to be a healer. Remember that she gets at least 8 VP every 2 turns. He will give the extra 2 that she needs to become a main healer instead of a buffer, if you really want that. So, interesting to fix some character rotations. The second one is called Resonance Edge. This is a skill that is just here. Why? Because it has 5 BP cost, 8 power, slash and blunt. It's actually here just so that you have a cheaper skill to use on Overdrive. If you want him to go with your whole squad on Overdrive and not be by himself using normal attack when you don't have enough BP. But you will not be using this, it's just for Overdrive. Because skill number 3 is where it is. Starlight Slash is utility skill that is full AoE. It's also slash and some damage. The power is just C. Ignore it. It will buff will by up to 40% on max level. That's very high. And will grant all surviving allies a defensive stance spell of large effect that lasts for 3 turns. This decreases spell damage by 35%. So it's something that is higher than Guard Up Medium, for example. And it can be used together with Guard Up Medium. You cannot stack 2 stances of defensive stance though. But you will face competition with Tank Gustav that has the same effect, and Tsubaki. Tsubaki has a 25% defensive stance, but Tsubaki also gives Scrum Guard. Tsubaki can also buff will and can also debuff intelligence. I think that in this role, the biggest competitor is Tsubaki. But you can open the fight with Starlight Slash, since you start with 12, and then you shall just be using Oratorio to keep buffing will. You have a big opener and then you keep buffing will. You get some BP here and there, and when you need to overdrive, you can either use Resonance Edge or a normal attack. If you use a normal attack, you will regain some BP to eventually use Starlight Slash again. If you want to have a full cycle of defensive stance, what you will be able to do is just 1 Starlight Slash, then you have 1 Oratorio, then a normal attack, and then you have enough BP to use Starlight Slash again on turn 4. That's the rotation. It's not a perfect one, but it kind of works. Since Minstrel is already applying a 15% damage reduction, you will have 35 and 15, but only for spell damage. Now, we have a problem because remember when I said that there is Tank Gustav that has the Scrum Guard and also has that defensive stance that is large. Gustav has a perfect rotation. Won't do much damage, but can keep 20% damage reduction together with that defensive stance. What you have an extra as Minstrel is the offensive part, and being able to cast one Oratorio in between. That's what makes Minstrel a little better. But in all honesty, if you have Painter Gustav with Let's Paint, you have much more usage. You have attack boost, defense boost, you have endurance buff, you get 2 BP to the party, and you have morale up and guard up. That's way too many effects. Damage from Minstrel, it's not game changing. You can just ignore, because Gustav does not attack, so you could say that he is inferior by not being capable of doing damage, but it's not. Gustav will allow other people to do much more damage. So this just kind of makes it that it will be hard to slot Minstrel if you already have Tank Gustav with Let's Paint. Another competitor for the slot of Minstrel will be Witch's Daughter, because she has BP generation as well with Festival Food. She can choose one target and it will also give OD Gouge. And then eventually Witch's Daughter can buff all status, and with 8 BP she can use this every 2 turns, and on Overdrive she buffs 40%. So Witch's Daughter is usually better as a BP generator and buffer by buffing all status, but does not have anything to give to the party defensively besides the status, so you have to think about what is better. But Witch's Daughter is much better defensively. She has 2 different defensive passives, Great Block Tension and Sweet Tooth. So if you have those 2 styles that are actually very useful, it will be hard to slot Minstrel. There is yet another one, Maria, that is a secondary buffer, and she can also increase ailment resistance that can work similarly to will buffs, and she can buff all status while also having access to heals and Screw Guard. So those 3 characters are better than Minstrel, but Minstrel can help with rotations of specific characters, like I said, like Muse, so there is that. And as for Inheritance, we have some options. From his UDX style, there is Fast Armée. This is an 8 BP skill that casts Morale up and Guard up, so he gets 5 BP per turn. That means that he can keep both buffs active at all times, and he will still have some left to use something else when he wants to. So very useful if you just want full defense. Then there is also this skill from his New Year's style called New Year's Melody, so that he can revive. Now from his Sword style, you have this skill called Defensive Sword, so that if you want to go for that route of using skill 3, skill 1 and a normal attack, you don't need. You can just use Defensive Sword instead of a normal attack. There is also Minstrel Notes, a 9 BP skill that recovers very small effect and gives 1 BP. I don't think this is useful, to be honest. If you are using the newest Minstrel, you actually want him to buff either the defensive spell stance or will buffs. Well, in the end, Minstrel is good. The problem is just our expectations, because we have meta units that are on OP tier that can offer more than Minstrel, but he still has his unique usage of Oratorio and can heal on Overdrive. Even though sometimes we may not need that extra heal, it's something to consider. Minstrel will receive a SSS grade. If you have the cards I mentioned, you can easily skip him. If you get Mirsa fast, just drop the banner. I do believe Minstrel will be easily outclassed in banners to come. And there's no other version of Minstrel so far on JP, so for now, it's all you have it. The last character is Aldora, and, well, she is a hybrid, a sword user with access to fire spells. That's why she has 106% for STR and intelligence. Not very good values, to be honest, could have been much better. She has very low endurance, only 50%, and she was actually designed to fight versus enemies that use magical attacks, since she has 101% will, also aligned with a 90% agility. She has average love and charisma, and she actually needs it to keep self-healing. From passives we have Flame Recovery, hit damage will increase by 20%, and when attacking will also recover HP by around 220. By the end of a turn, she will also cleanse from all status elements and recover HP by around 1.2 thousand. That's right, 1.2 thousand by the end of a turn. Always. It's a lot of healing because she's already healing when she attacks. The second passive, Burning Aura, Heat attack increases again by 20%. When she uses heat attacks, all of her attacks have heat, she will recover BP by 2. So she is a 5 BP per turn character. And when attacked by an attack that will cause resist, damage taken will be reduced by 25%. Well, that's something that looks like intrinsic but has lower effects but carries BP generation, so that's actually nice. But just remember, you have to equip her with stuff that gives 35 resistance to elements that she will be hit with. Then we have Offensive Breakthrough 1. Attack increases by 20%. When attacked, damage taken will be reduced by 25. So 2 defensive passives with 25% reduction, and she starts the fight with 11 VP. This is kind of a waste, but okay. So she will still take some good damage from physical attacks, but generally she is very sustainable. She will heal 1.2 thousand by the end of a turn. Will also recover HP every time she attacks. That is very good. Now let's check her skills. The first one is called Cure Fire. This is a 1 BP spell, so needs the fire element, that recovers around 1.2 thousand HP. Considering the end of turn healing and the attack heal, she will recover enough to get her from 50 HP to 2.500. So it's very, very useful, but where is the damage? It's just E-Power. That's kind of a problem with her design. Then the second is called Fireclad Flash. This is a single target attack that has slash and heat, so covers more ground. And before she attacks, it casts a heat attack boost that will increase heat damage by 35% on max level. This will last for 4 turns, and it can stack depending if you can use it multiple times. It will also buff her love and charisma by 30% on max level. So after all these buffs, she will attack with an S power attack. So it will feel like an entry level of Triple S usually. It's just that she has 60% damage passives right now. It's not that much, but can still do okay damage. Since it uses 7 BP and you generate 5, you cannot use it all the time. But, well, if you manage to just wait a little and use Fireclad Flash as many times in a row as you can, each new usage will increase the damage by that heat attack boost. Then your healing will also be better by the end of a turn. The last skill is called Nova Explosion. This is a spell again, and this one is very strange. It has very high damage, double S power, but it hurts her HP by 90%. Can only be used once as well, but it's fast and she can use on turn 1 because it's 11 BP. So this was made for farming, right? Yes, but then what can she do after this skill? Nothing. She has just Cure Fire and she doesn't have enough for Fireclad Flash. So it does not even work well in Final Island because if you take recoil damage there, it affects your score. So maybe some events, but just that. Now for Inheritance we have Fire Hat from her past premium style. It's a 2 BP skill that can debuff Will. Well, there are many Will debuffers in the game right now. This kinda works. The other skills are not relevant because her new skills are better. From her S style there is Mirage Blade Plus. She can use it 2 times in a row. It's also not really strong, but if you have other character to pair up, it just works for new players. But for veterans we just have better damage and better sustain. When compared to damage dealers, she just fails to offer enough damage to be a nuker. And, well, she can be used as a tank, but we have other options that also give party support. Hence why it's very easy to ignore Aldora and she will receive an SS grade, but will be demoted easy, and people will just forget that she exists. Now back to the banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? Yes, I will be giving this banner a Gold Minus award. And I have to say something because I changed my opinion of the Maria banner. It is now a Gold Minus as well. Because after many tests of Medea, she's actually very useful even if she cannot apply debuffs. So her grade was changed to Triple S. Here we have an OP grade and a Triple S grade in the same banner, with characters with different roles. And here we have as well a character with OP grade and Triple S grade. So Mirsa is now the best healer in the game if you have access to Steel Blade Light. But if you don't, remember that each turn you have 37% chance to heal, and every 2 turns you have a 50% chance to heal. On average, you heal at least once every 2 turns, still making up to compete with the likes of Chef Polka and even versus Muse. And Mirsa can do very good damage if you have a left fork. He can work offensively and defensively, hence why he is the best character of the banner. Let me tell you, if you get him early, just skip Minstrel and Aldora, because they don't offer enough in my point of view if you already have good buffers. But if you don't have gens, but have Chef Polka with Steelblade Phoenix, don't worry, he will cover the ground for a lot of time to come. You don't really need Mirsa because they operate similarly. Having Mirsa is just an additional character that will work better in most situations, but can be used versus shadow damage, and Polka can be used versus fire damage. And if the enemy attacks you directly, Polka may still be better than Mirsa. But if the enemy doesn't, Mirsa will be better. Just understand that Mirsa does not remove Polka out of the map. And you can decide to wait to see what banners are coming in the future. But that's my opinion. I already pulled it for Mirsa because I have all of his inheritance, can make him the full build, and I'm enjoying him a lot, and I'll be showcasing in future videos. What's your opinion? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I hope to see you soon in the next video or next live stream.